It is really ending. 2 years, nearly 2 years of our
21
lives
months.
have gone into this. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to do this. I'm really not.
Yeah.
You see that? That's a hand heart.
It comes out.
Okay? And it comes out, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
If you had a business that you cared about, you would know what that is.
You would understand that. We appreciated it. We knew what it was when we saw it, and we knew how special it was, and it's going to live on forever. Look at this. You see this? This will take you places.
If your hand isn't like permanently stained with Sharpie after the Eras tour, I don't know you. No. Welcome back to the Evolution of a Snake. I'm Zach.
And I'm Madeline.
And this is the end of an Eras tour. We are here with you today to celebrate and to reminisce on one of the greatest living tours in history, I think, personally, by an artist. Taylor Swift, you own the world, you are the queen, we've been new. And today we're going to be sharing with you just some general facts about the Eras tour. That sounds so boring, but like we're going to be sharing why
we're going to share our
Wikipedia article. No, we're going to talk about the impact that the Eras tour has had on the world, on live music, on us as fans, and also on you guys, our community. We asked you to send in some of your favorite Eras tour memories, and we're going to go through those and share those with each other. And we also are going to talk about how Taylor feels about the Eras tour because she has just come out with the Eras tour book. Before we get into all of that, we have to remind you guys that the Snammies are coming on the 14th of December live on the Swiftologist YouTube channel at 9 p.m. and you don't want to miss it. The Grammys are a fraud. Be there.
The Grammys are a
or
fraud.
Be square.
The Scammies. Now, do you want to watch the Scammies or do you want to watch the Snammies? It's up to you.
The Snammies are full of real meritorious achievements by artists that deserve their awards.
Exactly. It's about merit. It's about truth. It's about justice. It's about liberty. It's the real democratic process.
Not letting Taylor have a Taylor sweep because we have a whole separate category just for Taylor's very personal Snammies.
Precisely.
So, don't be worried that Torture Poets is going to clear everything because this is the Taylor Swift podcast. Oh, no.
Not on our watch.
That's not the case. And if you weren't able to vote, that's because you weren't on the Patreon, and that's your problem. That's your problem. So if you would like to participate in the future, you have to join. Also, you guys need to be rating this show 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Music. It helps us so much when you support us in that way. So please do it. And I guess we can start with just our general sentiments. How are you feeling about the Eras tour ending, Madeline?
Well, to tell you the truth, it's only really started to click to me that it's actually ending. The Eras tour has become such a staple of my life, of our lives as Swifties, and I'm really scared to not have it anymore. It's become such a part of like average everyday life that I can't imagine not having it anymore. But I have begun to acknowledge that it's ending now and it is settling in. It is really ending. 2 years, nearly 2 years of our lives have gone into this. And even more of that for Taylor and her crew and her band and her dancers. It's felt like, honestly, to me, one of the most profound things in my tenure as a Swiftie, in a time when I think things are shifting again, I think in a bad way, and things are swinging back in the other direction, to have had a space like this for girls, for the LGBTQ community, for everyone who just cared about this artist and these songs, no matter their age or anything else, no matter how many people tried to mock it or say it was insane or crazy or we're demented, when we were actually in that space, or like even when we were out in the parking lot or when we were watching on a live stream, none of that shit mattered, girls. None of that shit mattered. And now it's going away.
Yeah.
Now it's going away.
This is the thing. I felt so safe at the Eras tour and so happy. Like I just remember walking into every stadium. I saw it in like three or four different venues. And every time I walked in, the vibes were 100. Like it was, everyone is there to have fun. Everybody is there to have a good time. Yes, of course, there are like annoying people that like behave badly. But on the whole, like I never felt as though something bad could happen to me at the Eras tour. I could only feel that good things were going to happen. And something that Taylor talked about, I think, in the Eras tour book that I really noticed and appreciated was that the extraordinary length of the show. She wanted every fan to leave the show feeling like satiated. I have had enough of Taylor Swift, and that has never happened to me before. I've never left a concert and been like, oh, like I'm glad that's over, or like I feel like I had everything, because concerts usually like they pass by you so fast, and then you're like, oh my God, where did all that time go? Girls, by the time you get to Karma, the dogs are barking.
Oh, the dogs were barking. Some nights worse than others. Some nights
It
are a
really
lot worse
depends.
than others.
If
Yep.
you are like us and you went to see multiple shows delusionally, you understand there's a rhythm that you must fall into with the Eras tour. You cannot go 100 from start to finish. We tried to do that Chicago night one and it nearly killed us and killed our friendship and ruined this podcast.
It almost, listen, the media conglomerate almost came crashing down that dark day in Chicago. But you know what's so funny when I think about Chicago night one now is that I think at the time when we were first in Chicago, we were talking about it like, oh, night two was so much better, night two was perfect, night two was the best. And it's like, upon reflection, I'm like, night one was kind of better. Isn't that crazy? I just like
I think it's
completely
crazy
forget.
that you think that.
No, I know, but it's like it's true. It's like, yeah, it was I was being suffocated to death because there were people in our row who were not supposed to be there, and you know who you were. They were squeezing themselves in. I was being suffocated. Zach's arms were in my face the whole night. I couldn't see anything. 75% of the time, I had very tall people in front of me, and we were in the 10th row, I think. I couldn't see for most of the night, and I was just there sweating my balls off, feet stuffed into torture chambers. And I was like, I remember so vividly, I think it was during 1989. You know, I'd flown to Chicago. Here I am. I'm thousands of miles away from home. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? And then
Meanwhile, I'm having the time of my life.
And then the lakes happened, and I was like, hold on, everything makes sense. It's all coming together.
Back.
We're so back. So like it was one of those nights where it's like, we're so back, it's so over. We're so back, it's so over. And like now that I'm not in it anymore, I look back on it and I'm like, that's hilarious. That's like one of
it was the funniest.
It was the funniest thing ever in hindsight. At the time, was I ready to
laugh?
Yeah. No. I was not.
It's taken you a while to get to a place
Uber,
of laugh.
From the Uber ride home, even to when we were in the Bates Motel. When we were in the Bates Motel, I was like, I'm over this now.
We recovered for the second night, thankfully. We
did.
recovered and we had a good time, and it was all great. But I never left the Eras tour feeling like I didn't get everything that I paid for. I never felt like I didn't get my value, didn't get my money's worth. Every single ticket, expensive ticket, was $1 well spent to me. And at times in Singapore, when I was doing those 6 shows in a row, there was one show where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I think it was show 4. And I was like, I actually, maybe I don't want to go to the Eras tour. Now I bounced back. Okay. I bounced back. I had a run in with security. We weren't having a good time the entire night. There was beef between me and an old lady, but I soldiered through. I convinced myself that Taylor and her entire team hated me in that moment. Like I went to a really dark place, Singapore night 4. It was dark. It was scary. But the next day I went with a friend after going alone for 4 nights in a row and was like, okay, I'm a human being. I remember music is fun. Concerts are supposed to be fun. You should dance and sing.
Yeah, there is something kind of like that's giving like Nosferatu, like antisocial Boo Radley behavior of 4 straight nights of the Eras tour. Like there's something about that gives outsider, that gives you know, a degenerate of society. You really have to. I mean, I got so many comments in the Google form about people being like, it's so amazing to go by yourself and blah blah blah, and I totally 100% believe you. But I do think that 4 nights after you've just been like, what are you eating? How are you sleeping? You're not.
Oh,
you're not
well. Let me tell you, not well. I was not feeling good. And then also, Singapore, I think, was one of the most physically demanding shows for Taylor and for the audience just because of the weather. It was so humid, and it was an outdoor venue. And at that point, I was like, I was half dead, truly. Like, and I'm not a sit down at the Eras tour kind of person. So that wasn't an option for me. So the 4th show, it was antisocial behavior. And I was afraid that everyone could read it on my face. But I recovered. I went with my friend, and then I went with the dadologist. That was a good way to end my Eras tour run in Singapore. But in general, it was just, I don't know, it was like the culmination of being a Swiftie. Do you have any specific moments that really stand out to you?
Oh, I have tons. Are you kidding me? I have so many. But one that a really good general one, when I think about the Eras tour, I think summer 2023, when it was the Eras tour and it was the Renaissance tour at the same time, that was a really special part of the tour. I think every part of the tour was special, for the record, but that summer, Eras
Girls
and
and Gays
Renaissance,
summer,
after some of the worst times for live music and for getting to celebrate music and art together, the amount of joy that those 2 women produced for millions and millions, if not billions of people around the world is unparalleled. That's definitely like one of the major like legs of the tour that I think I'll always remember. I'll always remember like images of people in trains, like with all the feathers everywhere and the glitter, and just like how much fun that summer was. It was magical. Zach.
And it was just good, clean fun.
And
It
it
was
was.
girls and gays summer. And
Yep.
as we know, the world has taken a bit of a pivot, a bit of a shift. It feels kind of fitting, actually, that the Eras Tour is coming to end at around this period of time. But as Taylor said in one of the things that she wrote in her Eras Tour book, it was such a space for girlhood, for boyhood, for personhood. I've never felt so like integrated as a whole person with all of my past selves with me, because I think that that is what Taylor really wanted to do with the Eras Tour, was embrace like earnestness and cringe and like look back on all of these things that maybe were painful or embarrassing now, and walk hand in hand with all her past selves and love them. And I felt like I was able to do that at the Eras Tour so many moments. The specific moment where I remember it most was in Singapore when she did 15 and You're on Your Own, Kid. And I was like, those two songs have been such important lifelines for me at different times, like completely 10 or so years apart, maybe a little bit less. But to have those two songs together in the city where I like was born and where I met Taylor for the first time and got to know her, and how her music really pulled me through a lot of my like trying times as a teen here, to feel in that moment like, yeah, you've got no reason to be afraid. Like, you're on your own and it's going to be fine, and you made it here, and here we are, and you're still doing this 10 years later. You're still at the fucking Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah.
And I felt really just proud and like empowered, and so glad to be part of this movement in the world.
I felt the exact same way, and I want to talk to you about a certain night. You might recognize it. It's called London Night 2.
Oh.
London Night 2. It was actually during All Too Well. That was the highest up I had ever been at the Eras Tour, so I could see like the whole crowd. That was my first time I could see like everyone. I could see everybody singing along. I could see all the energy, and I was standing there and I was thinking to myself, watching all these people sing along, I was like, there was a time when this was a deep cut. There was a time when this was a fan favorite, underground favorite. We had to beg her to play it. And the 10-minute version was like an urban legend and an old wives' tale. And I could still remember the first time I ever heard it and where it was. And I remember how much it meant to me back then and what it means to me now. And I was like looking around and I was seeing like people of all ages who knew this song. And this song meant so much to them for like all kinds of different reasons. It was like old to some people, like to you and me, and then it was brand new to other people. But it was in that moment, like all of ours at once. It belonged to everybody at once. And I just looked around and I like committed that moment to memory I would like never forget that moment at my last Eras Tour show. My last Eras Tour show, like what? It was kind of goofy.
Up and down.
It's
really
so
goofy.
Over.
We're so back. It's so goofy. Over. We're so back.
Goofy, but I will always, probably that's one of my most cherished memories from the Eras Tour. And I'm really, really happy that I like kind of took myself out of just like the scream singing and the crying and everything, just like look around and like capture it and remember it. Literally.
Well,
it's in this moment now. Capture it. Remember it, girls. I captured it. It's in here.
And we did, and it's there forever. I think All Too Well, I've had so many like profound moments at the Eras Tour during that song specifically. It never once got old. It never once dragged.
No,
I remember
never
before
once.
the set list came out, we were like, now why are we doing all 10 minutes of All Too Well? Shut up. Shut up.
We were
past
dumb.
me. I want to tell you
Past
something.
me.
You're an idiot. You are getting caught up in these petty things, and that
exactly.
needs to stop.
I didn't like it. I said take it off. And then the first night, even on that dark day, Chicago Night 1, I was like, what was I thinking?
That was really something else.
Yeah,
I also remember
really
other moments that stood out to me. Chicago Night 1, Cruel Summer, when she came on, the energy, just the energy from the crowd around me. Like, I just never experienced that at a Taylor show or any show before. And obviously I've been to most of her tours at this point. Like, there was just something very electric about the vibes there. And it seemed as though everybody was so happy and grateful to be there. And it wasn't like, oh, I just decided this is what I'm going to do with my Saturday night. It was like, I'm going to fly in, I'm going to get custom made fits. Like, I just love the people watching. I love to see all the costumes. I love to go up and tell people, I love your outfit. And, for them to really receive it as like a sincere compliment, to trade the bracelets. Like, it was just community in a way that I think is really special to have at a live music event. I can tell you it doesn't happen at every other show. It wasn't like this at the Radical Optimism tour. Like that.
What was going on at the Radical Optimism tour? Let me ask you.
The Radical Optimism tour was bald, sinister gays walking around with big pints of beer in their leather tank tops and shaking their asses with their twinks. That's what that was.
As is their right. But
I prefer the hand heart. I prefer the there's glitter on the floor after the party. That is really what I was there for. Another moment that really struck me was night one of London, Fearless. She was just in a different, I think we were on a bit of a high because it was the day after our very first podcast live show. And a lot of these moments, like my favorite shows that I went to were with Madeline, because the Earth Tour is best shared. I really do think. Like, I loved going alone, but like it's best going with someone who feels the same way about the work that you do. There's no one in this world that gets it the same way that Madeline gets it. So for us to be together, I feel like no matter where we're sitting, what we're doing, like it is special because we've been friends for so long. We've built this career out of this thing that we were ridiculed for so long. And during London night one, she came out for Fearless. She was skipping around with her sparkle guitar. And I looked at Madeline and I was like, that's my best friend. And we're doing
that
what
is
we
my
never
bestie.
thought we could do this. We just sold out a show of our podcast live in London, not one night before this. And now we get to spend the rest of the weekend in our Eras regalia being silly and having a good time. And I just wanted to hug you in that moment. I was like, I'm so grateful to be here.
I was really grateful too. And you know something about London night one? It was a special night. It was a special night tonight.
It was
the
night things changed.
There was something in the water, man. I don't know what it was. And I hope that everybody gets to feel this way about their Era show, even if you were like outside in the parking lot. Like, she was on one. It's not that she's ever not giving 100%, but it was like she was giving 150%. On London night one.
She was so happy to be there.
And the crowd was too. It's like, it has to be, the crowd has to be perfect. And she has to be like totally in tune. And the band is perfect. And and Travis is there. And she's doing blank space and like this, that, and the other thing. Amazing. I had the time of my life. And
that's
I remember
exactly what it was.
We were leaving the stadium, and I don't think at any point, and I remember this, I don't think we ever complained about anything. Because, you know, sometimes you get out and you're like, oh my God, my feet hurt so bad, or like, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so hungry. We were just like,
yeah,
and the
we
part
were
when she was
so
like,
happy afterwards.
Yeah, we were so happy. It was so much fun.
Even when we were in the crush to get on the train and the train conductor was having a literal mental breakdown over the sound speaker.
We were having the time of our lives.
We thought that was hysterical. Now, had that been Chicago night one, I think we would have received that differently.
And we did receive it. We experienced kind of a different version of that in the streets of Chicago. In the mean streets of Chicago, we really did in pedicabs.
Well, there wasn't a hysterical train conductor telling us that it was going to be okay and that if we were just all fine, then everything would be okay. We didn't have that in Chicago. In Chicago, it was basically like, this is a demilitarized zone. Get your shotgun and good luck.
There were so many comments in the Google form about how horrible Soldier Field is. Like, multiple comments about how terrible.
I will never go back there again.
No, they'll never catch me. I really like Chicago as a city, but I don't know about that Soldier Field business.
We could have picked any show as well. Do you ever think about that? We didn't have to go to Chicago. We picked Chicago.
Why did we? I can't remember. Why?
I think it just worked out with the timing, like of where I was going to be and where you were going to be, and it just made sense. It wasn't too far from you, so we just decided to go there. But you know what? MetLife would have been better. But then again,
you know what?
MetLife is too much of an effort, and it's getting out of MetLife as well is also an issue. Like, anywhere is a problem.
I'm also feeling kind of like ambivalent towards like the coast shows. Like, oh, we gotta go to New York, gotta go to LA. It wasn't really a thing on this tour because it wasn't really a thing on this tour because she announced Speak Now where? Kansas City. She played Dear John in what? Minneapolis?
What did she announce in Nashville then? Did she not announce Speak Now in Nashville?
Did she? You might be right. I think you might be right.
In Kansas. You
might be right. You're right.
She put Long Live on the set list.
She played Long Live on the set in Kansas City. You're right. So it's like any city could have been a really special city on the Eras tour, which I really like. Because I mean, no offense, but it's like, why does LA and New York get everything?
They didn't on this tour. It has to be said. They didn't.
And justice was served. And I'm saying to you, in Minnesota, I wasn't there, but I'm happy for you. I am happy for you. You deserve it.
You deserve it. You deserve it. And I think some of my favorite performances on this tour, the Cruel Summer opening, that is a feeling I will chase for the rest of my life. It actually hurts me that I will not get to experience that again. But that is probably my favorite moment of the set, is the opening number. Just given that Cruel Summer, again, was such a sleeper hit. We were campaigning for this. We were saying it should be the greatest song ever created. It should be streamed 1 billion times. And it has been. And that is thanks to the Eras tour.
Or is it thanks to the snakes?
Well,
We should have that
It's
conversation.
a chicken and an egg thing.
Now, my favorite performances, I want to talk about. I mean, what does this look like to you? I'm talking about 'Tis the Damn Season. I'm talking about Willow. I'm talking about Marjorie. I'm talking about Tolerated.
Absolutely.
I'm talking
Say
about, am I talking
Not
about
Champagne
Champagne
Problems.
Problems? I
You're
don't
not talking
think
about
I'm
that.
talking about Champagne
Don't
Problems.
lie.
I'll let her cook, but I'm not talking about that specifically. I'm talking about Tolerated directly into Ready for It.
Oh,
Ladies, that was
something that if you didn't experience,
I was
MADELINE did.
up in a way that I'd never been before.
She was out of her seat. She was revived in that moment.
I was. Mm-hmm.
It was.
Yes.
It was a true revival. I think also Long Live to me was such a special performance. And I feel really bad for Europe because they did not get to have that experience. But I hate to inform you that Long Live actually was meant to be played on the Eras tour. And Enchanted is amazing and iconic and all well and good. But Long Live is like the fan song. So it felt really good. I knew who my OG Swifties were when I looked around and saw who was crying and sobbing and screaming the bridge.
I got it in Seattle, and I actually, before getting into the mood to make this, I was watching my Seattle videos. I could have watched them all, but I didn't have the time, so I only watched my Seattle videos, and that's where I saw Long Live, and I was like, this is the best thing. I recorded like essentially the whole thing, which I never do, but I just somehow I knew, when you just know, like I'm this is a once in a, like I'm never gonna see this again. Let me just really quick, and it was the same way with Tolerated. How did I know? How did I know?
You sensed the cut was on the horizon.
Yeah, Tolerated and Long Live to me are like the two most egregious cuts of the European tour. That was wrong.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
What she did to you was wrong.
Very unfortunate. I feel lucky. I think we both got this, MADELINE. We both got to experience the original run of the show, bar Invisible String, which I would have liked to see personally, but that literally lasted like 2 weeks. It really didn't last very long. So the original run of the show, then we also got to see the Speak Now edition with Long Live, and then we got to see the Tortured Poets set. And I have to say, we deserved it.
Just big and greedy.
We deserved
just big
it all.
and greedy. And it wasn't on purpose. It
all.
was not on purpose. It's not like I
by accident.
Let's see every version every tour. It just happened that way.
Oops. Sorry. I'm so apologetic about that. What was your favorite moment of the Tortured Poet set?
Ooh, my favorite moment of the Tortured Poet set. That's a really good question. So when I was physically there, I feel like the moment that I went the most bonkers for, when you're there, it has to be Who's Afraid of Little of Me, or I can do it with the Broken Heart. Right. And the crowd change more. That part live in person when you're there is crazy. The energy of the more is insane. I love
My favorite was when someone tried to cancel everyone for saying that was exploiting Taylor by doing that because it's exploiting her trauma by screaming more at her. And I was like, she wants us to.
She's up there grinning
that.
Like the cat who got
She's
the
throwing
cream.
the mic out like, hello, please, more. You want more? I'll give him more. Give me more, period.
give me more.
But Daddy, I love him. That was my
great moment. I like the Tortured Poet set. There's not much that I would change about it. I would cut Fortnite down. I don't think we needed the whole of Fortnite.
More down bad.
I think we needed more down bad. Fortnite. Yeah, that's how I would have done it. And it's like you're using in the book too. Like she uses the flying saucer to represent tortured poets. So it's like, okay, so let's talk about down bad.
If you know how I feel,
it should be the single, and we know that. And we know that.
Why hasn't that happened yet?
It should be, and I want the video.
It's coming. It has to be. It has to be. So, okay. The Eras Tour, just to give everyone a little bit of perspective, has had 149 shows and has played to over roughly 10 million fans. That number gagged me.
Well, how many of those are repeats?
That's a good question. That is a good question.
Not that I'm trying to take
that number in half.
Not that I'm trying to take that figure away from her, but it's something.
It's not 10 million individuals.
Yeah.
It's 10 million people. I would say individuals though, 7, 8. 2 million people seeing the show. Repeat time seems like a feasible number. Easy. The only close comparison to the second highest grossing tour of all time that didn't quite crack $1 billion. By the way, she cracked $1 billion with the US leg alone. She went on to do 65 more shows and apparently grossed $1.1 billion from the rest of that and $70 million in merch alone, just from Europe and Asia. So the second most highest grossing tour of all time is Elton John's tour. Follow the Yellow Brick Road, I think, or Yellow Brick Goodbye, whatever it's called. That grossed $900 million, and it went on for 3 years. Taylor outsold in 1 year with the US leg of the show alone.
That's crazy.
I'm speechless about that.
I'm speechless. I'm speechless. We're crazy. That's not normal.
Every time she gets another accolade, I'm like, okay. Okay.
What do you want me to do about that?
Sure. So it's an estimated, Taylor is very notoriously guarded about the box office numbers of her show. She doesn't report them, which is unusual. But it was the first tour, again, to collect over $1 billion. And they're estimating a $2.1 billion gross for the tour overall, which is more than the GDP of 17 small nations.
That's insane.
There's something scary about that.
There's something really kind of scary about that. I mean, if you think about it, like when I'm thinking about, okay, that's the number. And then it's like, we don't know what the numbers are. If we subtract paying the crew, paying the band, getting the set. I mean, it's a very expensive tour. So it's like, she's not walking home with $2.1 billion, but that's a lot of money.
Just from ticket sales alone, she gets between $14 and $17 million a night. And for that, I'm saying you deserve it. That show, I'm sorry. Can we have a moment for Taylor's stamina and for what she has been able to do physically with this show? It's crazy.
And I really wish that there had been more info. Do you remember in Beyonce's Homecoming, she talked like at length about like the crazy diet she had to go on and like how much work it was. And like, I'm not saying that I'm so interested in what Taylor's eating or how she's working out, but I am kind of interested to know like, what was it like to have to get ready for that? Like, what was the, you know, how hard was it to get ready for this tour? And like, did you enjoy being at that level of like, you know, Amazon woman, or were you like, this sucks?
This feels bad.
I want to eat my cookie dough.
Well, she said, from what I recently revisited the Time Person of the Year article, and in that she shared that she ran on the treadmill for the songs and sang the songs that required more choreo, and did walking or brisk jogging and sang she did the entire set list on the treadmill, basically. She also did like a custom combination of like strength training and conditioning and cardio at a gym with a personal trainer. She changed her diet, allegedly. She was like, I can never do this show hungover. That's like my worst idea of like, that would be hell for me. So I can't do that. She's also said that after the show, she literally vegetates in bed for one whole day and like doesn't move, doesn't speak, just vegetates and like heals. The shoes were custom made to be a little bit more comfortable for her, but she said that like all the dancing in that is very difficult. So she has given a few tidbits about that, but like, I would like to know more. I would like to see it.
Some of us would like to see it. Some of us would like Beyonce Homecoming, but for the Eras Tour.
The Eras Tour version.
And I wonder
it better
where
be
that
there.
is.
I keep seeing these cameras filming her, and I'm like, well,
filming?
Share with the class. Filming? It better not be a tour video. We have one already. We don't need another one. But also, I think, you know, people really underestimated Taylor or underestimated the show. I think there's not enough attention being paid to how physically demanding the show is and like what shape she had to get her voice and her body and her mind into in order to perform this show, because it is not easy. It is not an easy show. If you watch it, she's on stage pretty much the whole time. Her costume changes are not long.
No, she's fast. And like thinking about the, you know, some of the pictures in the book of her like crawling like an animal onto that, like after she jumps into the stage after the surprise song set, like frantically crawling. And then I've seen another video where somebody had like a good view of like the opening where she comes out for Lavender Haze and this like desperate frantic climb that she does before you can see her. And she comes up and she looks totally normal and starts doing Lavender Haze. It's crazy. It cracks me up.
It is crazy. And I think there have been moments where we've seen how physically challenging it's been. One particularly scary memory is that video of her from Rio, notoriously a very, very hot show, where she's doing like the kind of box breathing that you do when you're trying not to pass out, like right before Bejeweled. And in Singapore, I also noticed like in that All Too Well jacket, walking around on the stage with that, I could see her like on that third or fourth show, she really was struggling with the circumstances of having to do this show over and over in these same costumes. She didn't alter them for weather conditions. Like it was the same all the way through. And I think we need to pay attention to that. I don't know if you've been seeing this, but I've been getting a lot of messages from my audience about this video that was done basically being like, Taylor Swift is scamming her audience, like analyzing basically the vocals from the show and saying a lot of it is pre-recorded. And when it's not pre-recorded, it's auto-tuned. And to that I say, well, I knew that.
Yeah,
And I didn't
I think
care.
that's a fundamental misunderstanding of why the fans are there. It's not because we think she's Adele or Mariah Carey and she's, hitting all the notes
No.
every night. No, no, no,
I
no,
don't
no,
feel
no, no,
scammed by that at
no.
all.
No, I don't
There's
care.
a very misogynistic, and I'm going to say it is misogynistic, like rock and roll kind of bro idea that lip syncing is like a cardinal sin. It means you're a fake. It means you're a fraud, used against queens like Britney Spears. And it's like, you know what? Live performance is not all about like live vocal. And this person that was making this video that went really viral also was like, she uses a pre-recorded track for every song. And I'm like, yeah, because there's like a million lighting cues and dancer cues and staging cues that need to be adhered to every single night. The band can't be like accidentally riffing off by one count when there's like 10 million lighting cues and stage cues coming up in between the transitions. So that felt very stupid to me. And I'm pretty sure all tours of this scale do exactly what Taylor does. There isn't another show. Like Beyonce does the exact same thing. A lot of her vocals are pre-recorded. Some of them are live. The ones that are live are often used with autotune and MADELINE. No one's saying Charlie XCX can't perform, and it's all autotune. Very blandly, right? like out there. I'm doing autotune, and that's it.
I think it's such an interesting thing to see like people who don't normally interact with pop stars, who don't engage like with pop stars the same way that we do, who don't have an interest in engaging with pop music, like men who only listen to like rock and roll, or like I listen to the Rolling Stones, and I went to go see the Rolling Stones live at Wembley, and they
can't do the Eras tour live.
Well, that's because
they can't.
I want to see Mick Jagger get up there and do Lavender Haze. I want to see
Let's see.
I want to see him strut. I want to see him
put on that snakeskin bodysuit and your heels and get out there and do Ready for It. Do that choreo.
And do Ready for It.
And sing it's just, at the top of your lungs.
I feel like those kinds of people don't really have respect for like pop music. And it's like, well, I feel like we have to have respect for like what's going on in rock and roll. And I'm saying I do, for the record, but it's like, how come we have to respect that, but you guys don't care about what's going on with the music that women like? Women and gays like, oh, that's just trash to you. Oh, okay.
She also does her acoustic set every single night, and that's live. To me, I'm like, that's the live thing that I came for and that I want. And even if she is performing live and using tuning on her vocals, I like it. I think it makes her sound good. And I would like to hear it. I don't want to hear her going off key. We heard Snow on the Beach. Give us the autotune.
Actually, he should investigate those videos, because there's so much proof out there. The truth is out there that Taylor sings live for at many sections of the show, not the entire show. And it's like, think about the length of it. Like, think about how much vocal, like, I care more that her vocals are protected than I do that she's singing live every single. I don't care about that.
Me too.
I care
especially
about
because she's not Adele.
Sanctity. Right.
If it's Adele, I'm like, you got to sing live, because that's your thing is that you sing. But with Beyonce, with Taylor, with artists that do a lot of production, and then people would be like, well, she doesn't even dance. And I'm like, she actually does. Just because you don't think that it's good, she's moving all the time. And it's very difficult even just to walk and sing at the same time. It is difficult. So I have a lot of grace for Taylor. Sure, there are moments during the show where I feel like you can hear the track click in, especially if you see it a lot. Like for me, a moment that I know the track comes in, the Fearless Bridge. I don't know why, but every time it goes straight into pre-recorded vocal. Every single time.
And I'm saying, let her rock.
And it sounds amazing.
It's fearless.
Amazing.
I like it. I love it.
Love to hear it.
I cheer every time.
So I'm saying, who cares? Congratulations, Taylor. And who the hell cares about that? Now, there was also some nonsense that went on externally to the Eras Tour because it had such a profound impact on the world. 40% chain-wide increase in jewelry sales at Michael's. because of the Eras Tour.
Because of the beads.
Because of the Eras Tour.
That's
$3 million worth of bracelets sold on Etsy between April and August 2023.
Wow. So for the people, for the girl, I like that. For the girlies who know it's not my thing, I'm going to purchase them. I will be purchasing them. If I was like a girl who had bought my bracelets and some little girl came out and said, you want a Tweed? And she was giving me her little, like, handmade, beautiful 7-year-old girl bracelet. I'd be like, oh, I would do it for the record, but I'd be like, damn it. All right.
Well, to me, I'm really against buying bracelets. I'm like a bracelet purist, and I'm saying if you didn't make that with your two hands, I don't want to receive it from you.
And here's something about Zach is that he can't make bracelets. It's like tragic, but he does it anyway. He does
exactly.
it anyway.
You don't understand the trials and tribulations I had to go to make my bracelets. It takes me double the time as everyone else, and they look horrible, but they came from my heart. They came from a hand heart. And I will
I
not
like
take
them.
your factory bought EOAS
Yep.
bracelets. I would like my wonky, lopsided, upside down bracelets.
They were something else. They were something else.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you have them and you love them
Yep.
because they
Yep.
came from a place of true Swiftydom. That's what it is to
Exactly.
be a Swiftie, is to waste your time doing menial tasks. That's what being a
Right.
Swiftie is.
Mhm.
Like doing a
And I liked
13,
it.
trying to do a heart
Exactly.
on my face. You've seen me go through these tribulations.
So when I was moving, actually, I found evidence of a former. You remember when we were in Chicago and we were like practicing our 13s? I found
Mhm.
evidence of a 13 from either the Red Tour or 1989 or Reputation. It was old, and I was like, this has been going on for decades.
I've been
Decades
doing
of
this.
yeah. It's
Mhm. If
crazy.
your hand isn't like permanently stained with Sharpie after the Eras tour,
Yeah.
I don't know you. Like if you're doing a temporary tattoo of a 13, no, you've done it wrong.
Have you ever, like, sometimes I sleep with my arm weird and I've woken up with it, like, I don't think this past tour at all, but it's happened to me before. And I've been like,
Mhm.
uh-oh.
Uh-oh, the 13's there,
Yep.
as if it wasn't obvious enough.
Right.
But that is a very, very important thing. I thought I could also read just what a few of the critics said about the Eras tour and what it means. Swift having a bunch of albums in the upper reaches of the Billboard 200 is impressive but not uncommon. 3 songs from 3 different albums simultaneously in the top 10 of the Hot 100, though, that's the sort of mind-boggling chart feat that Swift and only Swift is routinely adding to her resume during the Eras tour. Really, that accomplishment speaks to the astonishing rise of Cruel Summer 4 years after its release. Having a single from last year's Midnights and the newly released Speak Now Taylor's version in the top 10 makes some sense, but a Lover track organically rising to new heights at the same time simply demonstrates Swift's current ubiquity unprecedented in the modern music era. And that was written in the summer of last year when Eras, I think, was at its like peak popularity.
And I cheered. And I agree. And I agree
I
wholeheartedly.
scream, I clap, I
Cruel Summer
cry,
going
I
number
sob.
1, by the way, was crazy. I still actually can't believe it. But I mean, you know
It was
what? I
everything
think
to
that
me.
sometimes the people of the world, sometimes they like bad things and they don't put good things to number 1. Like McDonald's, like Burger King. Why are we putting that to number 1? But sometimes they're smart. Sometimes they're smart and they put the right thing to number 1. Sometimes they recognize greatness when they see it. And that happened with Cruel Summer. They said,
Well, I think
put her
it's
to
even
number 1.
harder now to have an organic moment when like algorithmic playlisting has,
Yes.
you know, taken storm of the music industry, and a song like Shabuzi, bar song Tipsy, like I wouldn't say that that song is number 1 because everybody is screaming and singing it and loving it and connecting to it and thinking it's a really good song. It's just like fun, and it's on at the bars. It's on your Spotify playlisting, like it's in your algorithm. I could be wrong about that. But to me, having a Cruel Summer pop up out of nowhere, essentially, out of its window of eligibility even, for that to just come out of nowhere and like rocket all the way up the charts is really a testament to like what a cultural moment this was. It was so much bigger than just a tour. It was like, it was a movement.
It was a movement. No, it was a religion. It
Mm-hmm.
was a dynasty.
And we got to be part of it. And I feel like, you know, this is our Woodstock. This is the Woodstock of our generation. I'm going to make a video about this a little bit more, but it was really crazy to live through a moment in history. And I really felt that every time I was at the Eras tour. I was like, we're living through something crazy right now.
Yeah, we
This
were
is
living
history.
through something. It was once in a lifetime.
Well, it's
I
herstory.
actually,
Let me correct
I really
myself.
do believe
Herstory.
that. And you know what? I got a really interesting comment a couple of times, a couple of comments that were like, you know, I know that we're all so used to it now, but I remember being so amazed that she was playing this song or this song. And I actually I went back and I watched my reaction to the set list as it was coming out night 1, and I was like, I couldn't believe, never in a million years did I think I'd be seeing Marjorie, Willow, Tolerated, even Fearless.
Tolerated sent me to the moon. Enchanted.
Yeah,
in
not
the
even
dress.
to mention like the surprise songs. I never thought we'd hear Stay Beautiful again. I never thought we'd hear Mary Song again. I never thought we'd hear so many amazing songs from the past that and some people were saying like it was so amazing that I never got to see the 1989 tour, but it feels like I did get to see it because I got to go to the Eras tour. And I was like,
Yeah.
that is probably like one of it sounds ridiculous, but it's like really like profound to think about. Like you never thought you'd get the chance to see it. It's like I didn't get to see the Speak Now tour, and it's a scourge on my life. It's haunted me. It has haunted me for many
But
many
you got
moons.
enchanted and long live, girl.
but I got Enchanted and I got Long Live. And you know what? I have to clap and I have to cheer. I feel like it's something that we have kind of normalized it. Like, have we forgotten how insane this tour is?
That shows are not like this. This is the other thing, is that like shows are not, and you know, Billie Eilish said this. She was like, this is not normal. Like, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. Not everybody wants to do this. And it's true. The thing about the Eras Tour that makes it so special is that it's the kind of thing that only someone like Taylor Swift can do, that has this catalog that is so deeply self-referential, that has fans that are this invested in the entire body of work. And, you know, Taylor getting to revive her body of work while also still being relevant, like not being a legacy act, being an artist at their prime because of her legacy, and also still be like making culture and changing the world. Another part that like is so important and meaningful about the Eras Tour is, to me, it was like a you to Scooter Braun and Scott Borchetta on stage every single night. It was, this is my work. I own this. I created this. And everybody here is here because I, you know, designed the world this way. And you can never take that away from me or from us.
And every single night, baby, 3 nights a week for 2 summers in a row and beyond. Every single night, it was all the people of the world gathering together and say, this belongs to Taylor Swift. And everybody in the room acknowledging that. And there's nothing you can do about it. What now, little man?
What now?
Pathetic little man.
And what about it? Let's read Taylor's foreword for the Eras Tour book before we get into our, you know, experiences from the listeners. I'll never forget the call when I explained my idea of the concept for the Eras Tour to my team. At the time, I was working on the Midnights album, and if we were to do what I've always done, I would have embarked on planning the Midnights Tour. But there's nothing I hate more than doing what I've always done. We're going to call it the Eras Tour, and each album will have its own chapter, its own world. I told them that I want to fully commit to each era, musically, stylistically, and aesthetically. They should feel like time capsules. If we do this right, I said, we can celebrate and honor both new fans and fans who have been here from day one. It had been 6 years since I'd toured. In those 6 years, a lot had transpired for me creatively. I released Lover, Folklore, Evermore, and eventually Midnights. In another realm of my priorities was my passion project, re-recording my first 6 albums that were sold away from me by my former record label. Reclaiming my past made me fall back in love with it. Revisiting that past work made me want to honor it and honor what the fans had done for me with the Taylor's version albums. And so the new albums and my re-records left me with the dilemma: how on earth are we going to play all of this music live? I decided to create the longest, most ambitious show I'd ever even attempted, averaging at 3 hours and 15 minutes with 45 songs played. My goal was for every fan to leave that show knowing I gave them absolutely everything I had. I made a promise to myself to be physically and mentally tougher than I ever had been before, to be more disciplined and committed to my health, fitness, and stamina. Thankfully, I'm surrounded by my incredible crew, band, singers, and dancers who all matched my dedication to the massive scale and challenges of this show. We would go on to play the show in the pouring rain, in the blazing heat, in the thickest humidity, in the wildest winds, and in the bitter cold. We would do it if we were sick or exhausted or injured. We would do it with a broken heart. We do this because we love having the rare opportunity to create happiness and wonder up on that stage. We do it because we know it takes time and effort and money and energy to plan out coming to a concert. We do it because every friendship bracelet traded has the potential to become a new friend, and you never know what dreams can be sparked if we succeeded in painting a dreamscape in every city we visit. We do it because people need an escape from how brutal life can be, and it is the honor of a lifetime to be that for them, if only for a night. And although we are all on our own in this big scary life, somehow it doesn't feel that way when we're singing the same words as 80,000 other people wearing glittery face paint. We do it because life comes in waves, in phases, in brilliant flurries of magical moments, and all of these things come together to create Eras. Here is the official retrospective of the most wondrous tour of my life, my beloved Eras Tour. See you next era, Taylor. I'm crying in the club right now.
See you next era. ...
She had to do it.
She had to do it. That. She could not help herself. And I support her. You know what? I'm supporting her. I'm supporting her 100%.
I would like to see it.
Have you heard the opinion of some that everything that's written in this book is not written by Taylor?
Who?
Have you heard this?
The hell
They're saying it.
They're saying it. Who's saying that?
You're telling me that you think that Taylor
That's her voice.
How many words do you think are in this book? Tops 5,000? She doesn't have an hour?
Oh, much less.
She doesn't
it's
have
like
an hour
2,000 or
and 45
3,000.
It's a paragraph.
Speak Now intro is like a paragraph.
I personally, for me, written by, directed by, produced by, engineered by.
She would never do that. No, she would never do that. Especially not with something like words. With words, things that she writes.
Convinced.
Writer girl. Use your words,
writer girl. Use your words, writer girl. Who's your ghostwriter? They think a ghostwriter wrote it. They're like, this doesn't sound like Taylor. And then they're like, it sounds exactly like her Instagram captions. And everybody knows she doesn't write her Instagram captions.
She
and it's like, did I know
those.
Did I know that?
Are these people
I
insane?
didn't know that. But my whole thing is like, okay, let's just say theoretically it is ghostwritten.
Okay.
Anybody care? Anybody? Bueller? I don't care. This is her sentiment. I'll tell you that for free. If this is not written by Taylor, it is 100% her sentiment. But even then,
it is 100%
it was written by her.
by her.
You're going to tell me that this is the commemorative item from the biggest tour of her life.
Her beloved
she didn't write it?
EOAS tour. First of all, it's a notes app thing. She could have written that on the PJ. No problem. It's not like a work of art. It's not easy. Sorry, it's not hard. It's easy to write. And I don't understand why she wouldn't do that. This is a very important, meaningful. And if you've ever heard her talk, this is exactly how she talks. This is exactly what she says. And I won't be hearing that. I won't be taking, I won't be taking that feedback anymore.
It's just a strange, it's like, I want to know why. What makes you think that? Like, based on what?
Derangement and people being conspiracy brained.
And compare it to like the Speak Now forward or the Red forward or the any forward that she's ever written for any album. That's written by Taylor. That's the goof. Yeah. That's
unless she's created an AI model of Taylor Swift that she only uses her own past words as like a language learning tool, unless it's that, which I don't think that it is. But Taylor likes to write and she's good at it. And this also is not literature. It's like an Instagram caption.
Right. What is this? The new Joan Didion? I mean, come on. It's the tour book.
Investigative reporting, girls. It's literally just a hee. I love this bodysuit that I wore. Yeah. That's literally what it is.
And I said, give her Emily Dickinson.
I burst into tears. I burst into tears.
I liked it. I wasn't a hater. Are there typos in it? Well, sure. But you know what? That's life. You have more money than God, crumbles. And you can't hire a second guy to proofread. You can't hire a second guy to proofread.
That should tell you more than anything that this was copy and pasted from her notes app.
Yeah.
They told her 1 week before the book was being printed, they were like, "Oh, Diva, we need like 5 blurbs from you." She's like, "No problem."
She's like, "No problem."
Find that out on the PJ.
Yep.
There it is.
There it is.
And don't let anyone touch my words because they're not to be interfered with. And that's what happens when you get your typo. So thank you, Taylor, for the EOAS tour. It was kind of one of the greatest things that ever happened to me.
It was once in a lifetime. I repeat again, once in a lifetime. I need more people to realize this. I mean, even if you didn't get to go, if you were a part of it, you got to watch it on a live stream. You got to watch it from the parking lot. You got to watch it from the hill on your picnic blanket, wherever. Like we were there. Like literally, we were there and we saw it. And I think
rare.
We appreciated it. We knew what it was when we saw it, and we knew how special it was, and it's gonna live on forever. Look at you see this? This will take you places. I will
never forget the EOAS tour. # never forget. Now, how she will ever tour again after this, I don't know. That is really TBD. This is all you wanted.
Oh my God, that was all you wanted. That moment is coming sooner than you realize.
It's coming.
It is. No, it's coming. And I'm scared for her. But I feel like I'm happy for her.
If it was me, I would be like, what the hell we gonna do now? What the hell am I gonna do now?
I think there's like two possibilities. There's two sides of the coin. She's freaking out. What am I going to do now? What's going on? Or the other possibility.
There's a plan.
She's sad. It's bittersweet. Oh my gosh. And then, but she's kind of like a next chapter girl at the same time. You know what I mean? Like there's that.
She's not a dweller.
But there's two, you know what I mean? I can't decide which one she's going to be. She's not really, I don't know her. I'm not in the room. I don't know anything.
She's otherwise happy, but EOAS tour is one of those things that has been so demanding that it has completely consumed her life for the last 21 months. Like it's not like she's even had like a really meaningful break. And even when she has been on break, she's been doing other stuff. So I don't know if she wants to be on a break. She doesn't seem tired to me. There was a point in the Asian leg of the tour of Singapore, actually, right after Singapore, where I was like, Mama needs a rest. And she had one before the European tour started and Torture Poets came out. But I'm not seeing her on stage looking like she's ready even for it to be over.
No, I don't think so. I think that she's sad that it's ending and she's not quite... I'm saying she's ready, but it's not a happy ready. Do you know what I mean? It's like it can't go on forever.
Yeah, but how does she now? She's in such a bind because it's like, how is she ever going to tour again and not do this? Not do a 3.5 hour show? Well, and it's like, there was a time when we weren't even sure that You Belong With Me was going to be on the set, girls. That wasn't a given.
I guess if I were her, I would just cut the cord. Do you know what I mean? Like this is never going to happen again. Yeah, like I can't do that for the rest of my life.
It's always going to be stadiums, and it's always going to be spectacle. I think.
Yeah,
but can we do 3.5 hour shows forever? I don't know that we can.
I don't think. And do we need to be? Like, that's my question.
Yes.
Like, I understand totally.
Yes.
Like, if you didn't get to see the
I
Eras Tour,
need to
your
be
opinion
seeing
is
it.
yes. Your opinion is yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. But it's like, I'm more
Well, could the
interested
people have
now.
done 3 hours of
Well,
Torture
I want
Poets?
to talk to
Could
you
they have
about
done that?
something. Let's
I
talk
don't know if
about
they
the
could.
songs from Torture Poets that don't have their moment on stage because we're still doing the Eras Tour. Let's talk about that.
Right.
Let's talk about the songs from Midnights that don't have their moment on. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I understand totally if your opinion is like, I want Eras Tour over and over and over again because I never got to see it, or I didn't get to see this show, or what have you. But it's like, I guess I'm biased because I've seen the past tours. I've seen this tour, so I'm like, I kind of want to see the new stuff. I don't know about you
Well, I like
guys.
watching her fully inhabit a new character too.
Yeah.
Because with
So
Torture
there's
Poets, it's like there isn't that much to hang on to. Same with Midnights. Like it's not, they don't feel like real eras. Sorry, they don't.
no, and that's kind of like a real shame. I'm upset. I understand. I'm happy with what we got. Like, I don't want anybody to think I'm complaining about the Eras Tour, but I'm sad that we didn't get Guilty of Sin, a big stage moment. I'm sad that we
Fresh Out
didn't get
Slayer.
a big stage moment, or like a beautiful piano performance of LOML. Every night. That would have been special.
Yeah,
I don't
these are
even
the
want to talk about
things
that.
that we
I don't
lost
even
in the
want to talk about
fire.
that. Yep.
Well, why don't we jump straight into some of our gorgeous listeners' experiences
I
from the
have
Eras Tour?
some
I haven't
really
heard
good
these
ones.
yet.
So I got so many. Thank you to everybody who submitted. I got almost 300 submissions of Eras Tour stories. Some of them are funny, some of them are heartfelt, some of them are touching, some of them are things I hadn't even thought about. Some of them reminded me of things I forgot about that happened on the Eras Tour. So I apologize if you sent in like a really beautiful thing and it doesn't get read. I read them all. I'll tell you that for free. I've read them all. So somebody read them and it was me, but they might not all get read out loud. So let's start off with a funny one that made me laugh out loud. It says, I took my grandmother with me, and after the show she said, and I quote, "This has been the best concert I've seen since I saw Elvis." Not Elvis.
Say that, Granny.
Say that.
Say
that,
that.
Granny.
And that was a long time ago. That was
I love that.
That was 1979 or whenever the hell he died.
So now this one made me think. This one actually made me, I hadn't thought of it this way. This one says, I went to the Minneapolis Night 2 show and was there for Dear John as a surprise song, which was a shock and honestly felt like such a healing moment. The idea that Taylor could share that song from a place of joy made the whole thing sweeter. And I hadn't really thought about that. Like how different the Dear John performance was as compared to what we were seeing on the Speak Now tour. And I just thought that's like the Eras tour right there. That the reclaiming of art, not just like, oh, my art was sold away from me, but also like this thing that happened to me is no longer painful. It's the same thing with All Too Well. The story isn't mine anymore. You know what I mean? And now we don't have to march and ride our steeds and like go. I mean, we will. Let's be clear, but I'm just saying, like the
John Mayer's over for you.
Isn't festering anymore, and now it's something that she's just like proud of. And I thought that was like a really sweet sentiment that I hadn't thought about before.
I think that's a really good also like lesson to teach to your audience and to take from the Eras tour is that like at a certain point, like those scars aren't red and angry and painful. Like they just kind of, they go white and they just kind of live on you for a while, and they're not super intrusive to your life. You don't look at them and remember how much it hurt when you got it. And I love that about so many moments on the Eras tour. That's not the only song that I think she's reclaimed.
Yeah, for sure. There's been so many songs, especially with the surprise songs. The songs that she's played have blown my mind. Do you remember? Yeah. She's never going to play Would've, Could've, Should've. She would never play that. Huh. You thought.
Now that one, I didn't get
Silence me
from that. I didn't get unhealed from Would've, Could've, Should've Live.
She said,
that was
give me back
it
my
was mine
girlhood.
First.
It was mine first. I love, by the way, that's one of my all-time favorite videos to watch. Yeah, I just love, it's really clear how much Aaron loves the song too. I love how into it he is. It's pouring rain. She's like screaming. There's this moment when she's doing Give Me Back My Girlhood, It Was Mine First, where he looks at her and he has this look on his face. So it's just like, so like, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she's hitting the note. This is incredible. And it is. He's right.
He's right. He should say it. I think it's also interesting to watch her reclaim songs that may have been about other people and repurpose them differently. I'm not going to quickly forget the angry Call It What You Want performance. She was something else. Mad as hell. She came on this mic mad as hell.
And
mad
I clapped.
As hell.
Cornelia Street was different in different areas too. When she did that, that was in Rio de Janeiro, was it not?
Uh-huh.
Cornelia Street was as far away from the real Cornelia Street as you could get.
Not happy. She
No,
was not pleased with that. You're Losing Me live.
that was interesting.
Uh-huh.
Some of us were there.
It was very interesting.
I mean,
Well, then
I
we also
wasn't,
have
but I was
her.
there on the
We
live
have her
stream.
reclaiming songs for people that shouldn't be reclaimed, like "Hey Stephen." I don't like the new lore that's associated with that song. We need to leave "Hey Stephen" alone.
Well, I think personally, you know what? Can I share something with you? I think that
Mhm.
everybody is free to have their own lore associated with songs. If you say I reject, I reject the
I
new
can't
lore
support this.
associated with it. I reject. There's some that I
This I can
know are
support.
true.
I thought you
There's
said.
some.
I thought you were gonna say I can't. I can accept if someone says I reject "Hey Stephen" because of this new lore, because I can't accept
Oh
that.
no, not the song. No, you have to listen to the song, but you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
accept what's new about it. But it's like
Mm-hmm.
there's some songs that I know have new meanings now, but I'm not. That's not entering my brain. I'm not accepting "Cowboy Like Me" yet. I'm not accepting that. I'm not accepting
False
Ivy.
God and are two songs that stick out to me as her being like, "I love you, Travis, so much. Please have sex with me." Those are whenever she performs those, I'm like, we get it.
Mhm.
Treacherous too. Treacherous has been reclaimed in a big way. Treacherous in the Alchemy. I won't soon forget that.
I'm not forgetting it. I'm saying do what you have to do, Queen. I'm saying do what you have to do, Queen.
Locked up in there.
Period. Well, there we
And
go.
you know what? I think we should celebrate the fact that we made it all the way through this tour and we never heard Only the Young.
Dude, in the book when she's like, I played almost every single song I've ever released, and I was like,
almost. Not
I
quite.
can think of a few that got left off the docket, my friend. Oh, I can think
There
of a
are
few
none that
got left
haven't
off
been
the
played
docket.
that I'm begging and crying and screaming for. At this point, it's like it really is the flop of all flops that have been left off.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any divas down.
Okay, so let's get into this next one. This one's kind of a touchy one. The Eras Tour has helped me get through some of the most hopeless, stuck years of my life while it's been going. Was it sometimes just straight up numbing out to care about what a blonde billionaire was wearing on stage for the 100th time? Well, yes, but it was also looking back on my own life, just as she was doing on her own, and thinking of myself at all the ages I've been between now and 2006, and just being like, wow, I've gotten through so much. Of course, I can get through this current heartache and muck too. I know that's not unique at all, but I think that's kind of the beauty of it. That the amount of people the Eras Tour has touched in these dark and trying times, we are collectively living in holds something universal in a way. The haters might say that Taylor's out of touch and doesn't care about what's going on, but is there really something so wrong with adding more glitter and dancing and collective singing and friendship bracelet reading into the world? For me, it proves that the power of girlhood is being able to feel it out for 3 hours of music and then get back to all that waits outside your bedroom, or in this case, stadium door. And I said, yeah.
So beautifully
Is it
written.
really so wrong to add a
Mhm.
little bit more fun to the world? Is it really so wrong to just be like, all that stuff outside doesn't exist and we're going to have fun? Is it wrong? I'm asking you.
And the thing, like, art can be political and art can be provocative and it should be all of those things, etc. But it also can be transportive and escapist and fun and cathartic. And if you don't have that part of art, then like, what is the point of creating it all? Like, there's a real need to facilitate joy through things that you can't find in your daily life. And music is such an easy way to access that. And the Eras Tour, additionally, it's like, yeah, it's true. It is like a consumerist event. And like you're buying merch, you're spending a lot of money, all of these things. Like there is an underbelly to it. But I really think that the purity of it all overrides that. If you have attended the Eras Tour, then you know what I'm talking about. When you arrive, it doesn't matter how much money you spent on your fit or how much, like what tickets you have or like how many bracelets you have. Like you are there and you're part of it simply by virtue of showing up.
Yeah, exactly. You're a part of it.
You're involved.
You're involved.
Everyone's welcome. Moms, dads, boyfriends, dragged along. They're all welcome.
They're all welcome. And I love that about the Eras Tour. Something special, something for everybody. And that's what I like about it. Thank you.
Period.
So this next one amazed me when I read it. I made a custom outfit, Reputation bodysuit I designed myself for Edinburgh Night 2 and was sitting in the nosebleeds. Didn't get any pictures of me there with the full thing, which I hated so much because I wanted to post about it. But months later, I'm at a party and we're talking about eras. And they talk about how in Edinburgh Night 2, they were in the nosebleeds and they saw this really cool outfit that someone had made as they were going to their seat. And it turns out it was me and we were in the same section before we ever met. And I don't think I've ever felt more connected to somebody in my life. Eras was the first time I've really felt connected to a lot of fans like that because it's the first tour I was able to go to. And being able to feel that even outside of the concert is really special. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And she was like so upset, like, ugh, I didn't get to share it with anybody. I didn't get to post my pictures. And she just met somebody random at a party and they were like, oh my God, I saw you and your outfit was amazing. And I was like, that's the power of women.
That
The
is
power of women.
the Eras tour.
That's the
Something we
Eras
get a
tour.
lot of comments wise that I see from our audience is like, I don't have any friends that are like really into Taylor like this. And like, I don't, when I went to the shows, I went with my boyfriend or someone that didn't really care. So it really like important for them to have a space like Evolution of Snake, the Discord, the Patreon, whatever it is, where they can be with other people that think the same way and feel the same way about this as they do. And yeah, the Eras tour has been such a great conduit for people meeting each other, for having those moments of connection, because like, it's more fun to be a Taylor Swift fan when you're in the fandom. As annoying as it is, and as much as we complain about it, it's a lot of fun.
It really is a lot of fun. No, exactly the thing. It's like, I always complain, oh, she didn't, she played Seek Now Dust, there's no debut, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what? Eras Tour is the best tour ever.
Mm-hmm.
Eras Tour is the best tour ever. And I had the
It
time of my
is.
life fighting dragons with you. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to do this. I'm really not.
Yeah.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
That's a hand heart.
It comes out.
Okay? And it comes out, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
If you had a business that you cared about, you would know what that is.
You would understand that. So let's start there. So I went to Foxborough night one with my younger sister, who I've gone to every single tour with over the last 16 years, and it was truly the most beautiful and heartwarming experience of my entire life. We first saw Taylor open for Keith Urban when we were 8 and 11, and now we're 24 and 27. So thinking about all the versions of ourselves that have seen Taylor over the years really just reminds me how she is the biggest constant in my coming-of-age experience. I haven't just grown up with her, I've grown up because of her. Thinking back on Eras is still just an unbelievably special feeling, and it's a night I will truly cherish for the rest of my life. Hand heart. You see that?
Oh, hand heart. I love that. I didn't grow up with her. I didn't just grow up with her. I grew up because of her. And I think we're not talking about that enough. We're not talking about that enough. We're not talking enough about how it's not just about like, I loved Taylor when she was in the Fearless era or the Red era or whatever it was. It's like all of those different Taylors were mother to me at a time when I really needed her to be mother to me. Those versions of Taylor are attached to versions of me that were going through something. And I couldn't have gone through it or become the person I am today without her.
Exactly. And I don't think I've ever really like thought about that before. It's like, why was Speak Now my favorite album for so long? Is it really because it's like, I mean, it is like one of the best albums ever of all time, let's be clear. But like, but it's also because of like what was going on in my life, and like, why do I see pictures of her from Speak Now era and it just makes me feel like this is her, like this is the girly. It's because like that's when she was like the most important to me. That's when I was like ready. I was ready for the rope, man. So I was like,
specifically really needed Speak Now Taylor when she presented herself to you. And for that reason, that's how I feel about Speak Now, but also Red. And for that reason, she will be like, a little temporary tattoo or a permanent tattoo actually on your arm forever. You're never going to forget her. And people are very quick to trivialize fans and fan culture and to make it seem as though it's like this completely like brainless, disengaged, consumerist behavior that requires no thought and has no meaning. But I know that's not true. When I read these responses, when I hear these things, when I think about why I'm a fan, it's not superfluous. It really isn't.
Speaking of this fan behavior, trading bracelets with other fans is something that meant a lot to me too. I traded bracelets with a fan who asked my favorite album. I said Evermore, and then we traded. Not long after, a different fan made an effort to come back to me with an Evermore bracelet and say, I overheard this is your favorite album, and I wanted you to have this. It was such a sweet gesture. It made me realize how special this tour has been, and how instrumental it's been in bringing people together. It's been a great reminder that kindness and community still exist. I feel so lucky to have been a part of this in person and online. I'm not sure if something like this will exist again, so I'm savoring every moment.
That's so true.
It's just beautiful.
Post it was like the antisocial era. All you were ever hearing about was like weird behavior and like people attacking each other and like violent crime. And now, you go to the Eras tour and it's like strangers are coming up to you and being like thinking about you and wanting to put a smile on your face and having a gift for you for no reason other than the fact that you both have something in common, which is that you love music.
And something that I think about to this day, it's like I don't remember a lot of the bracelet trading that I did, but I'll never forget when I was in Seattle with Mason, I was at the aquarium. It was like on a day, like we weren't going to night 2. I think it was night 2 and we weren't going. So we were doing other stuff. Like we were going to the aquarium and there was a little girl and I had all my bracelets on and she was talking to her mom about how cool she thought the bracelets I was wearing were. and she was obviously like a little Swiftie, and I overheard her and I said, "Do you want one?" And it was just like the easiest thing for me to just take it off my wrist and like give it to her. But like the gag that she had, and her mom was like, "Oh my god, she just met her first ever Swiftie," and I was like,
Oh, you're like, and it's me, and I'm
and it's
that
like, meanwhile,
for her.
it's like
And she's never going
nothing
to
to
forget
me.
that.
Yeah,
But she's never going to forget that. That's the
she's
moment that
never gonna
she,
forget
as a
that.
Swiftie, is going to carry with her as she gets older and goes to like a show in the future. She'll be like, I remember that really cool girl, adult that I saw that gave me a bracelet and taught me about what being a
Yeah.
Swiftie was.
And you know what? I'm happy to say that happened. I don't remember, it's so funny in Seattle. I had a couple of people like on the street come up to me and try to do bracelets, adults. And I was like, no. And then it was that little girl who was just like, I like your bracelets. And I was like, here.
Yeah.
Everybody else.
I'm trying to
no,
think.
No.
Have I ever said no? I have never said no, but I have had someone. I remember I was in line for merch, and these little girls, they were like sharks. Okay. They were circling around looking for who had the nicest bracelets. They didn't approach me because I had my homemade ones that they didn't want. But the girls that had their gorgeous coordinated ones, they went up to and said, can we trade bracelets? Except I don't want to give you one. I just want to have them. I was like,
that shocked me.
Of these girls. I was like, you're not learning. This isn't the behavior.
How it works.
No. It's
no.
Make the friendship bracelets, take the moment and taste it. You can't taste the moment if you're taking and taking.
If you're taking and taking.
So there's that.
They're sharks. They're little sharks.
What was so sweet as well was we got to meet so many people that watch and listen at the shows, and there were people that like made stuff for us and like showed up hoping to see us with like our favorite songs or little things that we say. And that was so awesome for us too, because a lot of the times the job is sitting here in our rooms alone, thousands of miles away from each other, yabbering. So when we get to see people in person and trade bracelets, like at our show even as well, MADELINE, the MADELINE Bracelet Sweatshop Factory made a bracelet for everyone at our meet and greet, but pretty much everyone showed up with a bracelet to trade with us too, something specifically for us.
I wasn't expecting that. I really wasn't. I was just in the Bracelet Sweatshop Factory. Like, I did get to a point where I was like, fucking I don't want to fucking do it. So but they were good. It was really nice to have people give me bracelets back. I have all of them. This is one that I got from the show. Do I have another one? Yeah, I'm wearing one here.
This one says Yogurt Boy. I also have this one, which is like a 3-tiered bracelet that says, but I don't want to dance if I'm not dancing with you. Someone made this for me, and that is the nicest bracelet I've ever seen.
It's pretty iconic.
It's pretty good. But Granny Ologist did try and steal some of my bracelets, and I said, pause off.
Pause off, Granny.
She said, but you have so many. And I said, that doesn't matter. You're not a Swiftie.
That doesn't matter. Well, look,
Where's
I
the trade?
got so freaking many, but it's like, I'm not doing it if you're not trading. I'm not doing it if you're not trading.
Keep your bracelets, guys. Don't be giving them away. These are mementos now.
These are mementos now. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get into this one. I've always been a fan of Taylor Swift, but my friends haven't. Since secondary school, my favorite song was I Knew Your Trouble. Local answer, I know. Sidebar, I actually don't think that's a local answer anymore. I don't hear I Knew Your Trouble is my favorite song.
To say Shake It Off is your favorite song is metal behavior, as Taylor would say.
Yeah. Hearing it live for the very first time was amazing and felt so surreal. But really the best thing that happened to me was that I was lining up at the merch table outside Wembley. I had just pushed in, and a black girl, in parentheses, I'm also black, came up to me to exchange a friendship bracelet. I told her that I didn't have one to give her, but she insisted that I take it, so I did. The friendship bracelet said Black Swiftie, and I don't know, man, it just made me cry a bit. Oh. It was proper sweet because I am a Black Swiftie, and I came to the show by myself because none of my friends like Taylor. And there aren't that many Black Swifties about, That was the only friendship bracelet that I was giving that night, and it meant a lot to me. That truly warmed my soul in such a deep way, because I've seen so many Swifties of color say that, these comments that get made, like the white girl music and all the white girls and like this, that, and the other thing. I just feel like sometimes it's really alienating. I can imagine, like, as a Swiftie of color, to hear like, I exist too. And like, we're out here. We sat next to a pair of queens at Chicago Night too. Remember the girlie who "'Tis the Damn Season" was her favorite song,
and she didn't know the set
She
list.
Went in blind. She didn't know what was going to happen. And when "'Tis the Damn Season" started, it was like the heavens had opened up. Amazing.
And we were saying, hell yes, brother.
Yeah, there's all these incredible fans out there who are just like, oh, the white girl music, and it's like, well, I don't really think that's
actually really diminishing. And also,
yeah.
you know what I will say as well? I think like in the media, when they cover the Eras tour, what they show are the pictures of the skinny white girls front row in their sheen fearless dresses and cowboy boots. That's what you see.
Yeah.
And when you attend the Eras tour, you realize it's one of the most diverse crowds I've ever seen in my entire life, by race, by age, by sexuality, by gender, everything. It really is like an everyone show. And that part of it not being spotlighted more, I think, is kind of sad.
Yeah. I definitely think so. And so I thought that was a really nice anecdote, and it really kind of warmed my heart. I loved it. So thank
So
you for
happy you
sending
had
that
that
in.
moment.
So happy you had that moment. I went to night three of the Chicago shows, but my friends and I sat on the green outside Soldier Field to listen on nights 1 and 2 because they didn't get tickets. And I value those 2 nights just as highly as the one I spent inside the stadium. Okay, maybe almost as much because, like, front row center diamond, hello. We made such
Mm-hmm.
beautiful memories sitting together and watching the sunset around the city and running to the fence to hear what the surprise songs were. It was so magical. And this is the reason why I included this, just for you and me, because she says, and I know you guys hate Soldier Field, but this experience could only happen at a stadium in a park like this one. All the videos of people in parking lots outside their city stadiums made me so grateful to have sat on the grass surrounded by trees and a beautiful museum with my good friends and a cooler full of drinks for free. And I was like, you know what? I have to include this because we need positivity for Soldier Field.
Yeah,
Because
we need to give
we
it
have
something.
done nothing
Ripped it
but
apart.
beat it into the ground. We hated it. It's the worst place in the world. But I see your point and I see the vision. That would be quite lovely. I agree with you.
Tailgating
you for
seemed
sharing
really
that.
fun, unless you were that girl that had that mental breakdown that went viral on TikTok when she didn't get her surprise songs, even though she was sitting there listening to them.
Yeah.
Loved her.
You're there, aren't
Queenie,
you?
you're
You're there.
literally there. You're hearing
Yeah.
it. Are you not?
Yeah. I don't know. I think tailgating, I kind of wish I had done it. But I was like, would I just be there having FOMO the whole time, or would I really be able to enjoy it? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I would be upset. We all know I wanted to be at Chicago Night 3, but some people had other plans for me.
Some people had other plans. You could have tailgated. Remember when we said we were going to be doing
I
hand
could have
puppets outside the
tailgated.
stadium before we had tickets? We were like, we're doing hand puppets.
And then
That
going to
could
the
have been
aquarium,
reality.
taking an
You could have been
edible and
hand
going to the
puppeting.
aquarium. But I wasn't, sadly.
Thank God. Thank God. Okay, let's see. Oh, this one's so funny. This one made me laugh out loud. So it says, I went to Atlanta, and I was wondering why Taylor looked so blurry to me. We had pretty good seats, lower bowl. I come to find out a month later that I actually needed glasses. I wish I had them at the concert, but a blurry Taylor is certainly better than no Taylor at all. And that's the power of the Eras Tour.
That's so
the power
true,
of the Eras
Queen.
Tour. It's your eye test.
Once you get inside, you
Yeah.
realize that it doesn't matter where you are, where you're sitting, who you're with, you're there. If you're inside, you made it. And
Yep.
I have sat in the very last row of the Eras Tour. And as a person who has contacts, I've wondered if my prescription needed to change. Yes.
Yes, period. I got a couple of, I don't think I put them in here, but I got a couple of comments from people who, and I've seen this before, people who have sat behind the stage, who've gotten those really cheap
Right.
seats where you can't see anything. And they're like, honestly, it's the most fun ever. There's not a lot of people back there. The people you are with are there to rock. You're buying a ticket behind the stage. You really want to be there. So the people who are there to rock out. It's just fun. You're dancing. There's no pressure. There's nobody else back there. It sounds awesome. I mean, it's not like, oh, I want to be behind the stage, but like it's nice to know that like every seat in the Eras Tour is like you're having fun, and it doesn't
matter
get there,
where
it
you
doesn't
are.
matter.
You're there, baby. You're in the presence of God. That's all you can ask for.
Okay, so this I forgot about, and she reminded me about this. At London Night 1, I met Zach and Madeline. I'd been to the Evolution of a Snake live show the night before, and then bumped into them outside Wembley. This was the girl with the friendship bracelet outfit. Do you remember her?
That we were being profiled for the Days documentary that never came out.
Yes, and then it never got posted. You could have been in that too, my queen.
You could have
So
been in
you
that.
should be mad too. So she says they were so nice and complimented my outfit, which was made of friendship bracelets. Then, even weirder, this is the part I forgot about, because this was on one of my darkest days in London. A few days later, I was having dinner in Soho, and Madeline walked past with Mason. I remember this. And she said, Madeline? And I was like, huh? That was the day that I was on the Uber boat, and that was when the international Verizon service cut out. And we were just wandering the streets. We didn't know. We couldn't find anything. It was like living in 1985. And we just staggered into a pub, and I got an Aperol Spritz after the end of my day. And then I ran into her. honestly, it was exactly what I needed to start having a better day because that was dark. I mean, beautiful day in London, and my last. And my last.
Her outfit was crazy though.
It
She
was
had an insane
amazing.
friendship bracelet outfit. It was
It
so,
was
so
like a
cool.
tank top and like a super cute mini skirt, just plain black, and then all over it she had like long friendship. It was taking forever to make. I think we
It looked
talked to her about how long
awesome.
it took her to make,
Yeah.
but I
No,
can't
we
remember what
stopped
she
her
said.
deliberately and we're like, this
Yeah.
outfit rocks so bad. I
Yeah,
think we
it
were
rocked.
approaching her to talk and she was like, I went to your show.
And we were like, what?
What? and then we were like, thank God there's a camera here.
Yeah.
We were like, did you get that? Hey, Alice.
And
did you get
meanwhile,
that?
where's the footage? Just give it to
Where
us,
is
and
it?
we want to post it. And we would like
Yeah.
to post it. I would like to see
Honestly, I would like to see it.
Yeah.
It's very unfair
I would
that
like
we're
to
not
see
getting
it.
that. If you're listening, Days, you're over.
All right, so let's see. Should we do just like a couple more? I'm
Yeah.
going through. I have so many good ones. Okay, so after a 7-hour wait outside a ticket booth for one of us, and with row 11 Center Diamond tickets in hand, we had the chance to experience Taylor's biggest ever show, 100,000 plus people in the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Thanks to you and the community you've built, I was able to experience my first Taylor concert in 10 years of being a fan with 3 incredible people I now feel so fortunate to be able to call my friends. Thanks to you, I could see red and You're Losing Me live. So
what did we
they
do?
Got tickets. I think I accidentally cut this part out. I think there were 2 paragraphs and I accidentally only saved one part of it. I'm so sorry. It was like I met somebody on the Discord, or I found somebody on the Patreon that got tickets through. Yeah, and there was somebody else who said something very, very similar too. Oh no, here's the first paragraph. Here's what it said. I had a pretty unique experience with the Eras Tour. A lot of it has to do with you two. I'm from a pretty far-flung part of Australia, and I've never had many friends. Back in the first half of 2023, while I was still on the Evolution of Steak Discord, a group of 4 of us from different corners of Australia met by total coincidence and decided that we were going to go to the Eras Tour together. That's what it was. Okay, there we go. And I love the story.
That.
Thank you, Sam.
I love to hear that.
Thank you, Sam.
And you should always know, I heard a lot of stuff about people that went to our show alone. Because obviously, if it's hard to find someone to go with you to the Taylor Swift concert, it's probably even harder to get someone to go with you to the Taylor Swift podcast
to the loser
live.
show.
That must be really difficult. So I feel like if you're scared about that, don't be, because so many divas came on their own and met each other and made friends and are still friends, and you can keep in touch with them on the Discord, the Patreon, whatever. So if you're looking for a space like that where you want to celebrate Taylor and meet like-minded people who like Taylor, you should know that there might be a tour next year that you should attend.
There might be. I mean, we don't know that yet, but
we don't know that. We don't know anything about that.
There might be. Now, this one sent me to the moon and back. This was like a frightening picture of what could have happened to us, Zach. So on the way to Atlanta Night 2, my friends and I decided to take one of the pedicabs from the hotel to the stadium. They looked like fun. They had lights and were playing Taylor's music. I've heard that before. The guy told us it would be $18 per person. So we got on and rode to the stadium, having the best time singing Taylor songs. We got to the stadium, and the guy then told us it was indeed $18 per person per minute. And our total was $270. In hindsight, we should have ran. But we paid the $270 and walked into the concert dead silent. We didn't say a word to each other for like 30 minutes. Just fuming.
That is so funny because it's so true. Those pedicabs make it seem like it's the funnest experience in the world, but you should always know that with anything like that in any city, any rickshaw, any ride, any bike, you are getting charged out the wazoo. Whatever they say to you is not what they actually mean. And unless you're in the mood to fight with them, I would just suggest avoiding.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. And they'll try to get you too. They come on, girls. I have Taylor.
What's your
over
favorite
here.
Song? They had
Come
Feather Boas
down.
in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, you know what? That put us off because there were like 10 of them right next to each other, all blasting different Taylor songs at the same time. It was like Message in a Bottle and I Knew You Were Trouble and Nothing New.
It was horrible.
We were like, please.
It was absolutely atrocious.
Leave us alone.
And there were girls getting into it and going, and I don't think even in our darkest moment, did we
were sitting on the
consider
curb wondering how we were going to keep going, and the pedicab was just not an option.
No, it was never an option. And what we got instead was
the petty Uber.
You know, it was better than a petty. It's better than a pedicab, but just barely. We got this like I don't think we ever talked about this, but we had this Uber driver who his name was Morale, and he was very chatty. And this was Chicago night 1. We were not in the mood. Zach,
we weren't even in the mood to speak to each other.
checked out. He was gone, and I
was silent. I literally went silent in the car.
Yeah, I really struggle with being rude. Like I want to, but I can't. So he was like being friendly. So I was like, oh my god, no, I'm being really back. So he was like, oh,
but
blah,
he was
blah,
being
blah.
friendly in a really annoying way. He wasn't being
he was
friendly
like,
in like a casual way. He wasn't picking up on the fact that we were really tired and didn't really want to
No,
talk
it's
that
like,
much. And he was telling us
pick
stories
up on
about he was like
cues.
Albanian, Dua Lipa, Drita from Mob Wives, and we were like, this needs to end soon.
He said he used to be a limo driver, and he drove Drita and Dua Lipa. It's like, I bet you did,
Okay.
Morel. I bet you did.
Drita, I can believe. Dua Lipa was a stretch.
Dua Lipa was a stretch. And it's like, why are you so obsessed with Albanian women? You notice that? It's
isn't
like,
he Albanian? Wasn't he Albanian or was he not Albanian?
I don't know.
I thought he was. And he was saying it was really beautiful. It's the best place in the world. And we were like, the best place in the world is our bed in our Airbnb. But then
he kept saying, like,
we need to be there now.
I want to go to Singapore so bad. I want to go to Singapore.
And I did not respond. I was asleep.
You were like, okay,
I was
great.
Like, interesting. He was like, what's it like? I was like, it's nice. That's all.
Any other brain busters for me, Morel?
That's all you're getting from me.
Well, this is another good one.
Yeah, why don't we leave with a good chuckle?
Another good one. The woman in front of us was so drunk, like actually sloshed. Like Minium 8 beers before Evermore, the OG set list, and she kept wooing through the whole show. There was pure silence during the pause of Marjorie. Everyone had their lights up. Beautiful. I was nearly crying, but no. The tears dried up immediately upon hearing Queen Clown go woo. No one wants your woos. No one. Everyone was giving her dirty looks. Even her friends were embarrassed. They apologized for her. I'm saying me.
That is killing me.
Marjorie. Woo!
Didn't we have a girl in front of us that had her margarita? Remember her?
The 1989 girls. No, they were the 1989 girls.
They were up only for 1989, but they were sloshed.
They had those
they were drunk before they sat
drinks.
down. Mm-hmm.
They were there
and
to
they
have
got about
fun,
2
girl.
refills throughout the show.
Yeah,
and a million bathroom breaks.
Well, I was so jazzed about I Wish You Would that I don't remember even checking on them, but I'm sure they were through the moon.
I think at that point they might have been actually almost dead. Since it was after 1989. They were ready to go.
You know, the Eras Tour is a story of triumph. It's a story of failures. It's a story of love.
I'm also
it's
woo.
A story of
I go woo at the Eras Tour.
I'm woo,
but not during Marjorie. That's not a woo.
Beer up in the air, like she just like scored a point. The autumn chill that wakes me up.
Yes, Queen, work. Well, there you go. It was a true pleasure going down memory lane with all of you, and what a special moment in history this has been. If you're interested, we may do another episode on the Patreon where we just go through more people's memories and have a kiki about that, because there are a lot more where that came from. And don't forget, 5 stars, Apple, Spotify, and you should always stay tuned for when the Eras Tour is over, because when one era ends, another era begins. There you go.